So you want to learn how to fly a boat? Well, I really can't help you with that. But if you want to learn how to fly a helicopter, or you just want a few tips on how to get the upper edge on the battlefield, well, you're in the right place. So in this tutorial, I'll be going over simple flying, low flying, firing, evading, and finally a few tips that I have to give you that upper edge. First, I gotta get a few formalities out of the way. I'm using a PS3, so I'm using a PS3 controller. Now don't worry, if you're using an Xbox 360 controller or Xbox One or whatever, the controls are pretty much the same, just in different order, like the analog sticks like up and stuff. It doesn't matter. But if you're using the PC, it might be a little bit tough to follow this tutorial unless you're just looking for a few tips and you already know how to fly. Second, let me get my controls out of the way. So I'm using, for the helicopter controls, just default, and then inverted vertical flight. So that means when I aim up, I kind of aim down, and when I aim down, I aim up. It's inverted. So if you want to follow this tutorial to the word, please just switch your controls over to what I'm using. It'll be a lot easier for you to understand. Otherwise, you can like maybe transcribe what I'm saying into your controls, and then you'll be fine. So the first thing I'm going to go over is simple flying. Simple flying, actually first let me get the rudders out of the way, or how the analog sticks work. So the left analog stick controls this big spinning blade of death on top. It controls your power, and it controls your kind of like your elevation, your up and down. The right analog stick controls that small spinning blade of death in the back. That's the little rudder, and it controls all of your turning and that sort of thing. So if you want to go upward, you just want to fly up, well, simply press up on the left analog stick. See, there we go. I pressed up on the left analog stick, I went up. Now if I press down on the left analog stick, guess what? I go down. And here's the problem. You'd think that would be pretty simple, but what you see a lot of people do when they in their first or second time flying is you see them do something that resembles this right here. They do some sort of backwards thing. The problem with that is it ends up getting everybody in the helicopter killed. So if you're in, for instance, that transport helicopter over there, and you got 6 people in there, well, everyone's going to die. And that's not good. People are going to hate you. Because then you're classified as a professional noob. You don't want to be that. So simply press up or press down. See, look at this. I'm teabagging the ground right here. That's, all I'm doing is pressing up and pressing down on the left analog stick. Now, next controls. Let me get up in the air a little bit. Now, if I press left on the right, or left on the left analog stick, I go left. If I press right on the left analog stick, I go right. See? I can shake my head no. As for the right analog stick, if I press up, since I'm inverted, I aim down. If I press down, also since I'm inverted, I aim up. If I press left on the right analog stick, I kind of bank left a little bit. If I press right, I kind of bank right a little bit. That's good and all, right? But now you know how to turn and stuff in mid-air, however you're not going anywhere yet. And nothing's fun about a helicopter if all you're doing is sitting in mid-air doing nothing. So, unless you're trying to scare your enemy, of course, that would work. So what you want to do is you want to go forward. And to do that, first tilt forward. Now for me, since I'm inverted again, I'm pressing up on the right analog stick, and then give it power a little bit. That's pressing up on the left analog stick. There we go. See, I'm successfully going forward. So you can tilt a little more, you'll start going towards the ground. You tilt back up a little bit, you'll start rising in the air. Now if you want to turn, press left on that analog stick and start kind of easing left on the left analog stick, and you'll start turning. See? Very simple, very easy flying. If you want to go right, you do the same thing. You go right like this. Now, you're not going to understand this stuff until you practice it yourself. So yeah, I've told you, but the only way you're going to get it is if you go into this practice arena and you start just going wild with these helicopters. Pick up a helicopter, fly around in circles, do some crazy stuff, and eventually you'll be able to fly like a pro and do some weird in-air stuff. So that's good and all. That's all the high flying stuff. But all you really know how to do is fly up here and do some air flying, and you can attack other helicopters or planes. But what if you want to attack ground troops? Well, that's where low flying comes in handy. Now, the problem with high flying is, for instance, if there's a guy right there, or 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 if there is even a guy over there, they all see you because you're up here. You're in their line of sight. And guess what? You are a big, pretty much a tank in the sky that can open fire on them at will. So if they have missiles, you better bet they're going to fire them at you. And you don't want to get shot by those things, otherwise you'll be going down faster than a rock. Great analogy. Anyways, so that's where low flying comes in handy. This is low flying. Let me show you. See right here? I'm flying around really low. It's really risky flying, but See, I'm really low, really fast, and it'd be tough for any missile person to get a lock on me if I'm flying like this. Now, here's what you do. Let me land real quick so I stabilize. Alright, so here's what you do. First, get yourself a little bit of height, then tilt forward, right? Tilt forward and give it a little bit of power. Now, I'm tapping the power. I'm not pressing the power. Like, I'm turning a little bit. So you've already mastered basic flying, so you know how to turn and stuff. But so I'm just tapping the power right here. This is how I stay up in the air, very low to the ground, and it's pretty simple. It's really like an advanced kind of way to fly, but that's how you do it. If you want to give yourself some speed, tilt down more and give it more power. Tilt it up to start going up, tilt it down to like kind of fly closer to the ground. See, I'm not going to go under that bridge. I've tried it a few times and I die almost every time. I see other people do it and it makes it look so easy, but every time I do it I seem to die. Anyways, that's low flying. I know it's not a very in-depth tutorial, but if you want me to do a more in-depth tutorial, just comment for it, and I'll do like literally every keystroke or every analog stick push that I do, I'll tell you. So that's low flying, and when you're low flying, it's difficult for a person over there to get a lock on you if you're like low flying around over here. See how, let me turn around, see how it'd be tough for them to see you if you're over here. So that's all the flying techniques that I got for you. Time to move on to firing, and let me first tell you the controls of firing. R1 on the PS3 is fire. Triangle is switch guns. See, switching guns. These are my heat seekers. So if I want to heat seek something, I just look for like a plane, like here's a practice plane right here, and I just open fire. So those are the controls of firing. First I'm going to go over ground firing, then I'm going to move on to air fire. Air firing, like helicopter versus helicopter, plane versus plane. So for ground firing, there are three major techniques that I got for you. First things first, you gotta learn how to strafe, and strafing is a very inaccurate form of attacking anything that moves on the ground. So what you do is you get a little bit of speed, and you just open fire on all these poor innocent enemies. Now, once again, strafing is inaccurate. You're probably not going to get a kill, but you might. So if you just see an area of enemies, just open fire, strafe them, and you might get a kill. The second thing I want to teach you is circle strafing. Circle strafing is more accurate than a normal strafe. That's like, for instance, I see that tank right there. I'm going to circle around him while firing at him like this. That's circle strafing. And the reason circle strafing works is because, see that thing on the front of that tank right there? That's called a barrel. And that barrel fires some pretty nasty shells. And one hit by one of those shells, and I'm done. I'm toast. I'm going down to the bottom of the ocean or the bottom of the ground or whatever it is. So I don't want to get hit by those. However, while I'm circle strafing around, if I'm circle strafing this fast, I'm circle strafing faster than he can turn his barrel, which means he's probably not going to hit me with that thing. Which is really good, because I don't want to go down to the bottom of the ocean. So that's the circle strafe. It's more accurate than the normal strafe. Finally, the most accurate is the hover, when you're hovering and when you shoot. This is dangerous, though, because that tank can turn and shoot at me. Or a soldier can fire a rocket launcher at me. But look how accurate it is. For instance, if there's people inside that area right there, there's a sniper over there, they're taking down my team, I just hover right here, I show them what death looks like, and then just boom, open fire. That guy is done for. He's not coming back for another few minutes. So that's the hover. It's my preferred way to do things because it's really accurate. So like, see that tank over there? I can just fire at him and hit him for almost every time. So that's hovering. That's all the ground techniques that I got. You can make up a few. You can combine a few of those ground techniques to make your own and become a pro at flying. Now for helicopter versus helicopter. Now this is a scenario you're going to come into a lot. You're going to see this all the time, and the problem with this is it's the most dangerous scenario for you because one of you is going down. It's either him or you. So luckily I got my heat seekers here. Now what you want to do with the heat seekers, you want to lock onto them. When it says shoot, you fire one of them. Now you have two, don't fire both of them. You just fire one. And you wait for it, you wait for him to put out his flares. If he puts out his flares, wait a few seconds for his flares to die off and fire your other one. By the time this attack sequence is over, at least you got one hit in. He's probably pretty damaged and going down. You can finish him off with these things. One major thing that you want to make sure of when you're helicopter versus helicopter firing is that you want to always be above him. So see, if that plane right there is a helicopter, I always want to be like up here when he's down there, because if you're below him like this, what's going to end up happening is you're going to end up having to like aim up at him like this, and if he goes higher, you're going to have to aim higher, and you lose altitude See, I lost a lot of altitude right there. I almost crashed into the ground even. So you start to lose altitude. That's not good. You don't want to lose altitude because you're probably going to crash into the ground and die. So always be above him, because when you're above him, you're going to force him into that same position, and he's probably going to crash. So that's why you're always above him. One other thing you want to note is always have a secondary gunner. Like, let me switch to my second gunner so I can show you. This right here is a secondary gun. It's really powerful. Look at that. It just tears that plane to shreds. So always have a secondary gunner because it really gives you an upper edge on that battlefield, especially against other helicopters. That's the basics of fire. Actually, you know what? I didn't go over plane firing, but it's not much to go over real quick. Plane versus helicopter is a situation you never want to be in. If you got the heat seekers, here's what you can do. Where's a plane? I don't see one. Right there. If you got those heat seekers, you can. Whoa, okay. If you got those heat seekers, just literally aim at the plane, fire a few missiles, and simply go back to what you were doing. Don't spend any more time on that plane. He's probably going to flare those missiles off, but that's okay because you didn't really have a chance anyways. Planes are a whole lot faster than helicopters, and odds are they're going to take you out a long time before you can take them out. So just don't bother. Go about doing your own stuff. The next thing I want to go over is evading missiles. This is a big part of flying a helicopter because you're always going to get locked onto. There are two kind of missiles you can evade. There's air missiles and there's ground missiles. First, I'm going to go over air. So air missiles, you're most likely being attacked by a helicopter. And if you're being attacked by a helicopter, there's not much you can do. He's already seen you, he has the upper hand. If he's already hit you, you're pretty much done for unless you're really good. But yeah, helicopter versus, like, if you hear a helicopter locking onto you, you can either run or you can try and attack him. If you run, you probably have more chance of survival because then you can regroup and turn around later to take him out. If you try and attack him, try and just go up, get above him, and then just open fire on him, take him out, and then that's that. Now, the other kind of way you can be, like, people can be firing at you is if you are, if there's someone on the ground firing at you. Like if someone's got a Stinger or an Igla, or maybe some anti-air has caught sight of you and they want to take you out. Well, here's what you do. First thing, you got flares for a reason. Use them, but here, don't use them on the wrong time because it could lead to your death. So here's what you're gonna hear. When someone starts locking onto you, you're gonna hear deet 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 deet. That's the sound that they're acquiring your target. They're getting your heat signature, and they're not ready to fire yet. When you hear deet, like a constant beep, might not be that pitch, but a constant beep like that, that means they've acquired your target and they can fire at will at any moment. That's when you want to not use your flares, because a lot of people use their flares once they hear that. That means they haven't fired a missile yet, which means if you use your flares are just going to die off. They're going to wait a few seconds, then they're going to fire their missile, and you're most likely going to get hit by that missile since you don't have flares anymore. So so once you hear, after that constant beep, it's like beep, and then you hear fast, high-pitched beeping, like dee 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 dee. That means that they fired their missile, there's a missile incoming, and that's when you want to use your flares. So to use your flares on the PS3 is the down button, like the down D-pad button. Puts out these colorful balls of joy, and they look pretty, but literally they're only there to stave off the missile, so the missile goes after something else and not you. The problem is, when you're being attacked by Stingers, or by Iglas, they probably have like 5 missiles, and you only have 1 flare, and it takes a while to regenerate. I think it just regenerated. Yeah, it takes a little bit of time to regenerate, so they can reload faster than you can regenerate, which means they're going to be able to fire again before you have any flares. So there are a few ways of getting out of this situation. First of all, you can run. So if there's a guy over there, I can literally turn around, hightail it the other way, staying low and staying fast so that I maybe get below the tree line and he can't see me anymore, and he can't, maybe I lose range. The second way you can get out of that is if there's a guy over there, you can try and hide. So I don't see very many, actually right here. You can try and hide from him. You can try and go below his line of sight. So if you go below his line of sight, he can't acquire you as a target anymore. See, I'm hovering right above the water. Or maybe like over here. See how there's a building right there? You can use that building to your advantage. You can hide behind this building right here. It turns into a game of hide and seek. And this is really good on Dawnbreaker, because Dawnbreaker, you got tons of buildings everywhere. You can just hide behind the nearest building, lose that lock, and then go after the guy. Now the third way that you can get out of this situation is if you don't want to hide and you don't want to run, well, you can attack him. So as soon as you hear that beeping sequence, it gives you an arrow to where the enemy is, sort of. It's like a vague arrow. But you see the enemy over there, well, you can hightail it over there, and you can literally just open fire on it, hoping to God that one of those missiles hits home and kills the person before he fires his missile and sends you into the deep blue below. That's really the basics of evading missiles. That's how you evade them. Finally, I got a few tips for you guys. The first tip that I got is always have your secondary gunner. Now, I don't care if you got to wait on that launch pad for a minute. Wait, it's worth it. You're going to have that secondary gunner. He's going to be able to take out enemies faster than you can. And if you do get into a helicopter versus helicopter battle, he's going to be able to take out that helicopter pretty easily. Second tip, support your team. Now, as you can see, this helicopter right here is a beast. It fires huge barrages of pure death right here, just like this. And it's really useful on the battlefield. The only problem is what I see a lot of people do. I see that thing's already on fire. What I see a lot of people do is they just go off and do their own thing. They attack other planes. They spend like 10 minutes trying to kill a plane. It's not what you want to do. What you want to do is you want to support your tanks. Of course, that is if you want to win the game. I mean, if you're just looking for kills, just go wild. But if you want to win the game, support your team. There's going to be a tank rolling down that's your tank. If he comes in contact with another tank, put a few shots on that tank. Then your tank will have the upper advantage and be able to win that battle. Maybe if, for instance, there's a bunch of enemies in there, they're killing all your team and your team's pinned down, just literally open fire. Probably take out 3 or 4 people with that barrage right there. So just go wild. That's the final tip I have for you guys, is stay low and stay fast. So stay low, right like this, stay fast. And that's all I got for you guys. As I suspected, I didn't have enough time to do the tutorial for that and the other 2 helicopters. But I'll do those in another video if you guys want. And if you like this video, please hit that like button. If you have any questions at all, like if you want to know my favorite color, you can ask that in the comments. If you want me to make any videos, you have any suggestions, you want me to improve my my video making in any way, post those in the comments too. And if you like my videos, please feel free to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.